Narangba chemical fire may have been relatively small, but it sparked what could become the largest class action in this country. Residents say not only did their health suffer, but the value of their homes will drop significantly. The government has released the Emergency Services report, which says there are no long-term dangers. Nevertheless, Queensland Health started interviewing locals yesterday about the incident north of Brisbane last August. It's also pledged to monitor the site, and government agencies have promised to go through their reports on the fire with the residents. The lawyer, who's representing almost 200 locals, says he'll launch court proceedings next week. I spoke with Simon Harrison earlier today. Simon Harrison, welcome to Stateline.
Thank you.
Why are the Narangba residents feeling so aggrieved?
I think it's worry. They have a worry over their health. They have a worry over their property values that they've worked so hard to build these houses in that area. The injuries that our clients believe they've suffered because of this chemical exposure is really wide-ranging, but each of these conditions seem to be cognizant with the data sheets for the 3 chemicals that were released, so that they're extremely distressed.
What sorts of health problems have they had?
We have everything from streaming eyes to throat irritations to glandular issues. We have respiratory problems, and the interesting thing and the sad thing about this is that most of those have commenced since the fire. So on the balance of probabilities, even at this stage, it looks clear that the fire has been the cause of these injuries.
How many claimants do you have at this stage?
Sure, we've spoken to 197 people so far, and so the class action now is almost reaching 200. We have people calling us, faxing us, emailing us every day.
And what sorts of people does that include?
Across the board. We have residents, we have people who are employed on that site and in that area. We have a whole host of people. We're speaking to emergency service officers as well who are at the scene, who want us to look actively at their claims as well.
What medical evidence will be presented in relation to the claim?
Sure, we're looking at toxicology reports primarily, environmental reports, and also we have spoken to quite a senior respiratory physician who's willing to come on board with the action. So what we're trying to do is bring together a number of disciplines. Hopefully we'll be meeting in the next fortnight in a roundtable conference with those experts to decide our plan of action, because it really isn't good enough to wait until next April for the government to allow us to see their reports.
How much should residents be entitled to in terms of compensation?
It very much depends on the diminution of value of properties, which is one aspect of the claim that concerns people. The second aspect is the personal injury claim, which again will depend on each particular client as to what presentations they have or presentations that they may have in the future, because we do want to make sure that through this class action the courts permit us to have medical monitoring orders as well. Now, in terms of the level of damages, that will depend on the medical evidence and causation and liability issues. What I would say is that the government decided to make an exception, as I understand, on a number of recent group actions. One in particular was the Giant Patel case in North Queensland, and it does show up the legislation that this government introduced to cap personal injury damages has been absolute nonsense. So we're saying to the government, for a start, rip up that piece of legislation and let's look at proper compensation for these clients.
How much is that in dollar terms?
The cap at the present time from Queensland Government in respect of personal injury claims in Queensland is $250,000. So if I'm presenting with, as a result of medical negligence, having lost 2 legs, an arm, cognitive dysfunctions and all the rest of it, the most I can claim for those injuries is $250,000, which is absolutely ridiculous.
So is this claim likely to run into the millions, the multi-millions?
I've got no doubt about that. No doubt at all. We're looking at millions for these claims. We're looking at the residential losses, we're looking at the injury claims, and if what we're being told by our clients can be proven, then the government is in for quite a hefty bill.
How big is this claim likely to be?
We believe it's probably going to be, unfortunately, the largest claim that's been brought in Australia, certainly for chemical exposure and probably for any other claim as well. And you've got to remember that we have a number of banned substances being maintained in this hub in the middle of 9 residential suburbs, and they're large suburbs to the north of Brisbane. And this flume extended to Redcliffe before moving back to Narangba. It really was quite horrendous.
Simon Harrison, thanks for your time.
Thank you.